Hi everyone, and welcome back to Impact 1 Million. Today we have collected an exceptional group of human beings all creating impact in the world. Today's topic is all about imposter syndrome, and we are here to help you kick it to the curb. Enough is enough. It is time as a society and for humanity to grow to stop playing small. I want to introduce our panel to you today. We have Cathy Domoney, Moana Robinson, Jo Hollis, Christine Ross, Casey Lightbody, and Alexis Jane. All of these ladies are entrepreneurs, have done so much in their lives. They have also many times experienced imposter syndrome. So we're going to dive in now. And first, I'm going to kick it off by asking Jo. This is something I know that you have dealt with, as we all do over the years. How did you deal with imposter syndrome in your own life, and how did you kick it to the curb? What are some of the tangible takeaways you could share with people after you tell us what you did?
Well, to start with, I didn't deal with it. Back in my 30s, I was in a male-dominated industry in accountancy, where I think it's a female thing. We assume they know more than us when they don't really. But being an accountant, there's an awful lot of knowledge you have to have. You have to know how every business works, not just one kind of business. So I always felt that I didn't have enough knowledge. So when I went to things like conferences where there was maybe 10 women and 200 men, you tended to shrink back against the wall and not step out and lead. You just listened. And it wasn't until I started my own business out of accountancy 5 years ago that I was in a new industry in NDIS. It had only just started. And I actually had a lot more knowledge than most people did. So I felt more confident. That really helped. But sometimes I think imposter syndrome comes from being a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm an 80-20 kind of person. If I get 80% of it right, that's fine. So that wasn't my issue. And when I did go to events then when I was just starting out, I tried the old fake it till you make it. I tried power posing before I went into somewhere. In the bathroom, go, yes.
Yeah, it's great until someone walks in. It's like, oh, hello.
Yeah. I tried picturing other people naked, gave me a laugh, but didn't cure the problem. And it was about a couple of years ago that I went to a conference for entrepreneurs, and there were probably 250 people there. And again, I was thinking, oh, I'm only new at this game, you know. But then I realised that everybody was experiencing it, even the men. And one of the things we were told at that conference was that only 1 in every 250 businesses that start up actually achieve over $1 million in sales. Wow. So if you've done that, that's like 0.4%. So from then on, I considered myself a 1%er because I'd achieved that. Okay. And that went an awful long way to getting rid of that feeling, an awful long way. They also explained that, you know, business is actually a game. There is a way to play it. There is a blueprint that you can follow. And if you do all those right things, you're going to succeed. And anyone can do that. You don't have to be brilliant to do it. You just got to have the right people around you.
Yes.
So that really helped.
Love that.
And now, I think my main takeaways now are measure you against you, not anybody else. Just continually reflect, and celebrate those small wins. If I look back now over the 5 years, I have so many small wins that it's not an issue for me now. And I've reached an age where I don't care what other people think, or how I look or anything like that. Just I can walk in anywhere now with that feeling like you've got a string pulling up the top of your head, and walk in and you smile, and people just smile back.
If you're listening to the podcast, she looks gorgeous, by the way. So Don't take any notice of her. Joe, I love that. You know, measure you against you. Love that. Moana, what are your thoughts around that?
I really agree about the you part, because I do feel that once people realize that if they understand themselves more, and if they appreciate I call it the magic inside of themselves, once they appreciate what they've got inside of themselves, then they really understand that nobody else has got that. And I've always loved that Dr. Seuss quote, "It's truer than true. There's no one alive who's youer than you." So there's nobody else out there like you. And that's what the magic is. Once we start that comparison game, then that's when things start to happen. Even like looking at statistics and comparing your business with other businesses that are similar, I don't really want to do that because it's too distracting. I just think if you can put the blinkers on and just carry on down your own lane, then you are going to have more confidence in yourself and your business.
Love that. That's so true. Cathy, you're nodding your head a lot here. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, very reflective of the other two ladies. For me, I was very small for a very long time. And it really took the point that I died on the table having my 5th baby, that I was like, I need to get on with this because I'm really, really lucky to be here. And I'd always had this yearning to make impact and yearning because I knew I had a gift, but I didn't have the confidence to put that through. So that the near-death experience really was the catalyst for me. And then, you know, I think this is something for me anyway. I've learned to dance with imposter syndrome. So it's very much a part of my experience. And like, I'm autoimmune 3 times over. And when I learned how to dance with my diseases, I became well. And so really that's the way that I approach imposter syndrome. And, you know, it's about every time I up level, I feel it. And then I think, okay, and I sort of reframed it in my life and looked at it as an opportunity to say, am I showing up in the strongest position for my clients? Am I showing up in the strongest position for my family? Am I, you know, in every area of my life? And there may well be areas that I need to attend to, and then I go and attend to them. So it doesn't stop me. I think the screwy part is when it stops you from starting or stops you from growing or stops you from elevating. But I see it as an opportunity to make sure that I'm showing up in my full power, that I've learned, or I'm always learning. You know that, Shar. I'm always in something. And it's because I want to have as much knowledge as I can for my clients. I want to be that person. And, you know, I know Meryl Streep, after she had won Academy Awards, said, I keep waiting for them to phone me and realize that I can't act and take it all away from me. So I think it's something that everybody goes through. And as I said, I've learned how to dance with it, and I sort of reframed it to be the rocket fuel in my life rather than a reason to stop.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Casey, what are your thoughts, and how do we start to ditch this? How do we actually start to go, this doesn't serve?
Yeah, I love this, Shar, and I love the conversation so far. And I think one of the biggest things for me is bringing that awareness to it. So really touching on the themes that the other ladies have talked about and looking at those coping mechanisms that we have, right? It's like, I mean, I was labeled that I'm the perfectionist. And so I've always had to try and live up to that label of perfectionist, right? And seeing how it really stopped me from taking action, being in comparison all the time, diminishing myself, procrastinating, all those kind of coping mechanisms that once you start to become aware of those things, then we can use them as tools to improve, right? And I really started to see, once I started to get that awareness, I was like, oh, here I am telling myself all these lies about myself. You know, the one thing is, I don't know everything. And I think Joe referred to this. I don't know everything, so I know nothing, right? It's this all or nothing behavior. And I really started to pick up on that and was like, why am I buying every single course under the sun? Because I am an expert, right? And so this piece around the expertise piece, I think that was a big thing for me. And the other thing that I think Cathy talked about is this one-hit wonder. This was another big lie that I bought into, right? I'm a one-hit wonder. I hosted my first summit. We had 4,000 women through that. We had Amy Porterfield as a keynote, but it's a one-off. It's never going to happen again, you know? And I had all these beliefs. And talking about this, how do we ditch it? I think one of the big things is moving from logically knowing these things to an embodiment piece. And I talk about this with my clients. Oh, this side here. Behind me is my gold box, right? And I used to gather all the things that actually embedded why I was good at the things that I do. So I'd gather testimonials and feedback. And one of my coaches had me list all the accomplishments and achievements that I'd had in my life. And when I started to realize, hey, I'm an Amazon bestseller and I'm this and this and this, I logically knew it, but I didn't fully embody it, right? And this was this piece where you measure yourself against you, but it's about really truly embodying, hey, I can see that I truly am here to add value to the world. And I think that is one piece around moving towards ditching it, is moving from logically knowing it to actually embodying it. And that's a whole lot of work, right? And I think the other thing is going towards ditching it is, I like to think about, I love what Cathy said about learning to dance with it, because I think we're constantly evolving and learning, and the next level of growth, you're going to feel that again, that feeling like, oh, I'm stepping into something new. I have these old behaviors and patterns that are going to keep me small, but learning to dance with it. And I call it stretching your courage muscle, right? And it's about, not for me as someone who is introverted, sensitive, it's not about taking those giant leaps out of my comfort zone, but how do I expand my capacity zone so that really strengthens that courage muscle, you know? And I share the story with my clients, is that I had a fear of public speaking worse than death itself, right? I realized it wasn't even my fear, but that's another whole story, right? But I had this fear of public speaking, not being seen. I didn't know enough. I didn't want to add to the noise, all blah, 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 all the stories, right? And as I started to stretch my courage muscle, I'd speak to an audience of 5, 10, 15, 20. And now I'm comfortable getting on stage and hosting summits with 4,000 women. But it wasn't like that before. But when I reflect back and I say, oh, hold on a second, this is the journey that I've really been on to embody my unwavering confidence in myself now. Yeah. And we're all areas, it's a work in progress, right? But that's kind of just a couple of strategies that work for me, Shar.
That's brilliant, Casey. Thank you. And, you know, it's something I find as well, and then I want to hear from Chris and Alexis on this as well. But, you know, I find that imposter syndrome for me, when it's come up over the years, you know, we're all in business. And at the end of the day in business, we have to sell something to be in business, right? Go from hobby to business. And so when we're in that sales cycle and we're having that conversation, we get our no's. And for me, in the early days of business, a no for me would make something in my head go, they know something about, they know that I'm not good, or they know this, or they know that, and that's why they've said no. And now that I'm a little bit further on in business and really comfortable with who I am and what I deliver, I know that it's their stuff. So there are people out there probably listening to this going, a no doesn't mean that people are saying you're not enough. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It's actually got nothing to do with you. And it's a big thing that a no now for me is an exciting thing, because that means I'm getting closer to finding the absolute best person, putting together this exceptional book that we're launching in New York that a few of you are part of. And so when I get a no, I mean, they're just not the right fit right now. It's not the right time. It's not a personal thing. And so that imposter syndrome no longer triggers for me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's not because I'm not good enough. Alexis, what are your thoughts around this whole topic?
So for me, when I hear imposter syndrome, I think about the very beginning of my journey when I stepped into doing business and thinking, who am I to teach people how to do business? Who am I to help someone elevate in their world? And the reason I started my business was to help women create more confidence within themselves, and it had nothing to do with business. It was to be able to speak their truth, because I'd been through so much stuff that I wasn't able to speak my truth, and I got myself into a world of trouble. And then I turned into going into business, and then I started making quite a substantial amount of money within my business and making an impact. And then I pulled back. I'm like, I can't do this. Who am I to do this? They're getting phenomenal results, but still, who am I? I'm just a single mum. Just a single mum, listen to my language. I'm a single mum who doesn't know anything. She failed high school, but I'm helping these people. So that was, you know, a massive reflection on what do I need to do with inside of me to really end, you know, asking those deep questions of myself and really reflecting back to people are actually asking me to come and work with them. So if that is something that's happening, I'm obviously doing something right. And like Casey said, putting those testimonials up, putting up those nice words that people are saying about the work that I was doing and the things that I was creating in the world really helped go, okay, well, I am doing this, because I feel personally for myself that I can go into such a deep, dark hole. And Shar, you know this, we work together, and be so hard on myself that I get so caught up in, I used to get so caught up in this bubble, and I wasn't serving the people that I wanted to serve until I shifted. It's not about me. It's about the work that I do, and it's about my mission and my purpose, and being able to help other women elevate and create deliciousness in their world, and create and do the impossible. I want this, but it's so impossible. Well, let's break it down. You know, in 4 weeks' time, they've created what they originally thought was the impossible, and then helping them move through their imposter stuff of, well, I didn't really study anything. And one of the biggest challenges and things that I've witnessed and seen within myself and within people is I need to learn more so that I can go and help more. It's like, but you're already doing it. You don't need to learn anymore. It's just an excuse to hold yourself back to stay small.
It's a Student of Life Club. Love it. Thanks, Alexis. And Chris, let's dive into your thoughts around this topic.
Wow, I just resonate with everything that everybody is saying. And, you know, I love that, take your eyes off another's journey to focus on your own. And I feel like that's really important, because that comparison is what can really freeze us up. And that fear begins because you're going, oh my gosh, look how well they're doing, or look what they've achieved so far. And I find that comes back to mindset. So our mindset is really important here. I just feel like mindset is everything at the moment. Those old beliefs that we've been carrying around since childhood, that we may have picked up from what our parents or a teacher or society have said about us, and we've made them our own. Like we've owned them without stopping to ever think, hang on a second, is that the truth of me? And like, that's just bullshit, because it's not the truth of you, but we've made it our own. And I think that's where imposter syndrome can really become prevalent for us. We remember those old sayings. We remember, and the brain goes, hey, remember when you did that last time, and that trigger happens, and you feel it, and you get hot and sweaty, and you think, oh my God, that's right, I can't do this. So I feel it's about taking the time to recognize that and really question those thoughts of where did they come from, and then how can I begin to change that? You know, are those standards mine, or did somebody else set them for me and I've taken them on board? Are those expectations mine? Am I setting this expectation so high it's not even mine? Did somebody else say that they expected something of me? It's all about, I think, taking the time to think about, are these my thoughts? Are they really mine? And who am I really? And that's why I love Unearthing Your Values, because I feel when you know what really matters to you, when you know in your heart what you value, then you can start taking confident steps, and you can start making choices with clarity and confidence. I feel like imposter syndrome is about having a certain amount of knowledge, and you feel really confident, and you step out into the world, and then you realize, oh my God, somebody knows more than me. Oh my God, she used bigger language than I did, and perhaps that she knows more than I do, or he. But it's actually, that's okay. I think because you've got to realize that everybody is going to know more than you on different things at different times, right? It's just
not
about
a competition. It's not a measure stick, you know.
Yes, exactly.
It's so true. And ladies, what are your thoughts around, I've been thinking about this for a while, like there's labels out in society, let's face it, and we've probably placed a lot of labels on ourselves over the years. You know I did. I'm just an Indian girl. I didn't finish school. I'm this, I'm that. And so do you think as a society that we've become really comfortable, which has got a lot to do with, I guess, mainstream media and how they portray success and, you know, living an abundant life? Do you think as a society we've become really comfortable hiding behind those labels? Or I can't do that. Lexi, you said it before. I was just a single mum. Do you think we've been comfortable? Who wants to jump in and talk about that? Casey?
I'd love to talk about this because it's so interesting for me, Shar, as I've been working with the women in my world, because they all self-identify as introverted, sensitive, empathic women, right? And what I've really noticed in the work that I'm doing is how many of them are using that label as an excuse to hide behind because of their lack of confidence, because of getting in their own way, you know. And I was on a big crusade, you know, I'm on a big crusade about a lot of things, but I'm on a crusade to actually change the dictionary definition of introversion, because it is something where it's this quiet, shy wallflower. I mean, even there was in one dictionary described as narcissist behavior, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know, it's absolutely crazy. But you know, I think using labels as a way to learn more about yourself, this is some of the conversation that we're having today, is yes, use these tools as a little as insight and to learn more about yourself, but don't use it as something to hang your hat on and give yourself the reason why you can't do stuff, right? Because that's the thing that fires me up beyond belief.
Finally, who wants to jump in? Jo.
I really heard that when Lexi said, you know, I'm just a single mum, who am I to do that? A friend recently, there were three of us talking together, and one started to be a bit derogatory about herself. And my other girlfriend stepped in and said, don't talk about my friend like that.
I love that.
How rude of you to talk about my friend like that, you know, and she's talking about herself. So I think when we hear that little imposter voice, just tell it, don't talk about my friend like that.
Love it. I love it. I say that sometimes. Russell say something like, oh, I did. I say, don't talk about my husband like that. And he's like, oh.
That's so true. That's self-talk, right? It's like our self-talk, our subconscious mind hears that, and then our conscious mind believes it, so it becomes a part of us. So our self-talk is really important, that we watch what we say. And we can sometimes think it's humility to say, oh, you know, I'm not that good, or you know, I never finished school, or those sort of things. But it's like, no, like, listen to yourself. You are powerful. You are worthy.
Yes, I love that. When Jo said before, that string on the head, you know, pull it up and walk tall. Cathy, jump in.
I'm marinating what everyone said, and something that's come up for me is an interesting part of my entrepreneurial journey was that I tried lots of things on, because I'm one of these people that I'm pretty good at a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, but there are some things I'm really good at. And it was so interesting as I was exploring my path ahead, how many outside voices, who weren't taking any risks, by the way, saying, oh, well, that failed. Why are you doing it? Oh, well, that failed. Oh, that failed. Oh, that failed. I'm like, it didn't fail. That was me exploring the right fit for me. How can I use my combination of skills in the way that suits me, that suits my family, that suits my clients, that lights me up? And I never saw it as failure. I saw it as sort of exploration and investigation into the right fit for me.
Part of the journey.
And I do think that holds people back, because they might feel, oh, this is the right path for me, and they go down it and it's not quite the right fit, and so they go, okay, let me try something a little bit different. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. It means that you're assessing your options, which every intelligent person should do, and then find the exact right fit for you. And so I think when you're saying about labels, you know, so people are so quick to label things as failure or mistakes or I remember I'd done something in England, I think it was my hypnotherapy or something like that, and one of my friends at the time said, well, wasn't that a waste of time? And I said, no, because it filters through everything I do. It filters through how I parent, it filters through how I show up as a friend, and I thought, wow, what a limiting mindset. You know, and I think we need to let go of all of that. Why does everything have to be ticks and crosses? Why can't it all just be labeled as nourishing, delicious experiences that is leading us to where we need to be?
And it's all part of the puzzle.
Nothing is a waste of time. I don't think anything in life is a waste of time. Even something that's not seen as positive, anything that could be seen as negative, that's not a waste of time. It's living life.
Yes.
And, I described life recently as a tapestry, and it makes life interesting. It really does. Every thread matters. Yeah, every thread matters, whether it's a broken thread or whether it's a regular thread. That's just life. Nothing is, even wasting time isn't a waste of time, because it could be you're wasting time because you need to waste time. You need to rest, or you need to think about something. I don't see it as anything as a waste of time. Learning something.
Yeah, totally agree.
It just brings me back to something that I read from Steve Jobs, is you can't connect the dots going forward, you can only connect the dots going backwards. And I've got a male client, and there was things that were happening during COVID and he was losing it. I said, let's just stop and wait to see why this is happening, because there's a reason and there's a purpose why things are happening within your world. And I think that people label things as right and wrong all the time, and it's,
Yeah.
I have an emotion, I'm sad, so why am I sad? I need to uncover why I'm sad. Why can't you just allow yourself to be sad and be okay? Why can't you just allow yourself to be angry and be okay with that? As like you said, one of you girls said, everyone's so quick to judge and say, well, that failed. Like, I know on my entrepreneurial journey, my dad's like, just go get a job.
Yeah.
Government, and you'll be safe.
But I'd be a terrible employee. They want you to turn up every day. That.
It's, you know, you get to choose and decide. And there was a part in my life, in my journey, like I just have always jumped and found my wings on the way down. And then there was a person in my world, it's like, but you keep jumping and it's not working. I'm like, but it is working, because I'm getting learnings along the way.
Yes.
I started creating all of this magic, and it happened really fast because I needed to go through that to be able to get the things that I wanted faster once I actually understood. But if I didn't do the thing, I wouldn't know the thing to get what I wanted.
And this is a big beef I have with mainstream media. They have so much to answer to. And, you know, that's, I believe, a big part of why I do what I do in our media space, although it's not, and I'm not measuring it against their voice, but the bigger my voice can get and the people that I can bring forward. And it's, Cathy, you said something earlier that I want to touch on is, you know, we often downplay what we achieve and who we are and how great we are. And I think if you're listening to this today, I want you to really ask yourself the question, what are you absolutely best at the world in, and own that. And so I think the more we can all speak up and say, and it's not from an arrogance place, it's owning our space. I am horrible at singing in the shower. Even my shower doesn't want me to sing in the shower, okay? Am I going to focus on that? No, because I don't shower with anyone else. Well, maybe my husband, but he's used to it. I think he's tone deaf though. My point is, I'm best at the world at amplifying people's impact. I hunt far and wide to find people creating an impact in the world, and then I shine a torch on them and I put them out, whatever media brand we're working in at the time, be it this book, the TV show, magazines, etc. That's what I'm best at the world at, and I'm not going to downplay that, because that's why I'm here. Does it stem from my childhood, being told, just an Indian girl, be quiet, you've got nothing to say? I wanted the spotlight and didn't get it. I've carried that through my life, and now I actively look for people who should be centre stage and known by everyone, and I shine the light on them. And I love that I've linked those two things together. Did I want that experience to happen as a child? No, no one does. Do you want to be engaged at 11? No, not the point. The point is now, as Lexi said, I can now look back and connect the dots. Why did that happen? It's because I'm meant to do this and I'm damn good at it. And I think we all need to own that space. Ladies, talk to me about what impact this is having on us as a global humanity. What impact is it having on us to continue living in this imposter syndrome state?
Well, I think that people are not stepping into their greatness, right? So people are holding themselves back, and they could, you know, they have a responsibility almost to bring their idea to the world, you know, like imagine if Joe didn't decide to step out there and help these people with NDIS, you know, imagine if you didn't step into your gifts and your talents, you know, that's like everybody's going to miss out on that. You've come here for a reason. And I feel that's what happens. And I was listening to something the other day that really, really blew me away. It was about we're the first generation to actually have the time to look introspectively at ourselves. You know, go back a couple of generations, they would feel like this is a miracle what we have today, the ability that we have. I know we're busy and there's a lot of stuff going on, but if you look back a couple of generations, women would never have thought that we would get this far and have this many opportunities come to us. And I think we have a responsibility to really step in and find how we can become our best selves. Look at all of those old beliefs and everything that's not serving us. You take a responsibility for your own mental well-being. I think it's so important.
Absolutely. And to create legacy, we have to ditch imposter imposter syndrome. Stop it. Stop it today. This minute, when you hear this, stop it. Stand in your power. Be really proud and loud about what you're best in the world at, and stand in your truth, and then go find your people. How important, ladies, is to jump in and share the importance of finding your tribe, your community. How important has it been to your journey?
It's been hugely important.
Yeah.
Hugely important to find your tribe. It wasn't until I went to the entrepreneurs conference that I realized, oh my God, these are my people. I finally found my tribe. We all did things the same. Even our handwriting was the same. It was very weird. But I think you've also got to accept that there's a lot of people in the world. Not everybody is going to like you, because you certainly don't like everybody else. So why do you expect everybody to like you?
And why does it matter?
It's another belief. And why does it matter? It just holds us back.
It does. That
And
needs
when-
approval.
when you rise, others rise. So if Shar hadn't created and followed her truth and followed her passion and followed her bigger vision and purpose, none of us would be on here today. None of us would have gone through the journey that we've gone through, being with Shar from whatever point of the journey that we've been on. And I know with me, when I rise, my clients all rise with me. And when you start shining your light and really tuning into your bigger purpose, your bigger why, and doing the things, and not allowing imposter syndrome or other people's thoughts and beliefs to come through into your experience, that's where the power and the magic happens.
Yes, Casey.
Yeah, I love this conversation. And I think the biggest thing, well, there's a couple of things here. I think, again, with the imposter complex, one of the lies that we tell ourselves is we've got it all handled. We can do it on our own. We don't need anyone else, right? But we see the power of coming together and walking shoulder to shoulder. Together we rise, right? But I think taking that even one step further, like I actually think that we actually have a responsibility for generational change around here, because the more women that actually can step up and change, like release this idea of imposter complex, the more that they're going to take action regardless, right? And we've talked about this today around this fear of failure. Like, what are we teaching our children and future generations if we're not willing to fail, right? If we're not willing to actually be resilient and show our resilience.
I'm sorry. Who sits there and says, that's a failure? I'm sorry, they're lessons, people.
Exactly. Yes, I was just
Exactly.
going to say that. It's learning.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, right? I just feel like there's so many lessons. What authenticity, speaking our truth, being willing to show up and share, like being tenacious, all these things that we actually learn from, well, getting present and actually listening to our voices, like Chris said, you know, it's like all these things we get to learn as we release that idea of imposter complex and step up into our power. We've got such amazing lessons to teach our children and future generations about this. And so, yeah, I just think everybody needs to find their tribe, get the courage, be surrounded, celebrate those tiny little wins, and you know, get the pom-poms out for each other, and then just take action imperfectly, and we'll just, you know, the impact that we can make is tremendous. You know?
It's incredible, and it's going to be life-changing. Moana, what are your thoughts around you know, not just ditching the imposter syndrome, but being each other's cheerleaders? How has that helped you?
Oh, it's helped me tremendously, and I've got a lot of friends and acquaintances and colleagues, and I just find that you learn from all of your friends and acquaintances and colleagues, and they learn from me as well. It's like a huge support network. It's so important. And talking about the tribe, I do think that's one of the ways to combat the imposter syndrome. Another way that I have found is the old SWOT analysis for your business, but actually doing it for yourself. You'd be surprised when you list all the opportunities. You know, you've got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When you list all the opportunities that you've got, everybody's got an infinite amount of opportunity out there in the world. So that's an exercise that's really good to do for yourself. And then you realize the world is your oyster.
Yes.
You can get rid of that worrying about what everybody else is doing. And when you see the threats, some of those threats are imagined. They're not even real.
Yeah.
Most of them, most of our fear, right? It's false evidence is appearing real. They're just something we've made up. And we've done this exercise many times, and I've done it in my workshops. And I've told everyone that there's a snake under the table, and it's something that automatically, because I say it, they believe it, and all of a sudden people's feet are going up. They're looking, and even though some of them are like, "Oh, she's only joking," they still kind of do these ones because. And then, well, what if she wasn't joking? And so what if we said positive things about ourselves? And it's time to ditch the itty bitty shitty committee, people. Yeah. It's time to ditch it, kick it to the absolute curb on another planet, let them have it. It's time for us as humanity to stand tall, shoulders back, stand in your truth, stand in your power, and absolutely go out there and do everything that you want to do and go find your people. Last words, Joe, jump in as we wrap up today.
Measure you against you.
Joe Hollis.
Reflect back and measure you against you and keep doing it. Don't stop.
Yes. Want that on a t-shirt. Cathy.
I think it's important to be bravely honest with yourself. So it's not about blanket positive affirmations. That doesn't work, actually. You know, I'm trauma trained, and I can tell you seriously, it doesn't work. It's about having an honest reflection of self and being courageous enough to go, well, that is one of my weaknesses, and that's okay. Like, I can't be good at everything. But being aware and fully embracing the whole of you makes you so much more powerful. Because you know the times that you need to reach out and ask for support, because that's not your thing. And having the courage to do that, that's the work that I do with kids. Yes. And when you fill a child up to be totally comfortable with the entirety of who they are, everything bounces off them and there's nothing they can't navigate through.
Love it. And it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's something that it's actually a sign of strength. It shows that you're a true leader, be it a child leader, an adult leader. It shows that you are wanting to be better and serve more and do more. And by putting your hand up and saying, I need help, guidance with this, it's actually strength. Lexi, final words.
Stay in your own lane. It's okay to get off the path, but remember to come back on. And it's okay to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is where your power is. And again, putting your hand up and asking for help. If I hadn't have asked for help, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Casey. Oh.
Yeah, so I would say definitely do the inner work. We've touched on that a lot in terms of the awareness, the mindset work, but also the energetics work of really understanding your whole being to actually then bring your belonging to the room. So don't wait to feel like you belong, but bring your belonging to the room and really see that we are all equal power, but different. We've all got amazing, amazing gifts, strengths, skills, abilities. And when we can recognize in ourselves and come together and see that we're equal power, but different, we change the world.
Love it. Love it. Chris.
Yes, I love that. And I love, the idea, like, take your eyes off another's journey to focus on your own and learn to tap into the wise woman who's already within you, that she lives there all the time. And, if you can turn and tap into her when you're feeling overwhelmed by breathing deeply into your heart, she's got so much wisdom for you, because we know stuff. We actually know the answers. It's already within us. It's about learning to tap back into our intuition and our wise woman self. Yeah.
So true. Thanks, Chris. And Moana.
I think the older we get, the wiser we get. And it's really having compassion for yourself. It's the 3 C's: compassion for yourself as much as you have compassion for others, connecting to yourself as much as you connect to others, and also having a really strong sense of curiosity about yourself. And that makes you excited about the future, excited about what you can achieve.
Love that. Love that. This has been an exceptional conversation today, ladies. Thank you all so much for giving up your time. And if you're listening to this, please kick imposter syndrome to the curb. It is no longer serving you or humanity. And please, please, please step up and be all that you can be. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.